Imagine you're dropped into the wilderness tomorrow. No phone, no GPS, no lighter, no food, no shelter, no medicine, just you in the wild. How long do you survive? A week? 3 days? Maybe not even one. Now here's the strange part. For most of human history, this wasn't a survival challenge. It was just life. Ancient humans lived in a world filled with predators, disease, starvation, freezing winters, and deadly accidents, and yet somehow, they survived. Not only did they survive, they spread across the entire planet. So what did they know that we don't? What survival tricks allowed a relatively weak animal to conquer Earth? At first, the answer seems obvious. Maybe ancient humans were simply tougher than us, stronger, braver, more skilled. But that explanation has a problem. A big one. Ancient humans were still human. They could get sick, they could get injured, they could get scared. A broken bone was still a broken bone. A cold winter was still a cold winter. So what was really keeping them alive? The answer begins with one of the strangest survival hacks in history. Ancient humans almost never survived alone. Imagine seeing a lion in the distance. If you're by yourself, that's terrifying. But if you're surrounded by 20 other humans, everything changes. One person watches, another carries tools, another knows where to escape. The group becomes stronger than any individual. And this wasn't just useful, it was essential. In fact, some scientists believe the real survival unit wasn't the human, it was the tribe. The group survived, the group remembered, the group adapted, and that created a huge advantage. But here's where things get interesting. A group is only powerful if its members can trust each other. So how do you build trust? Ancient humans discovered a surprisingly effective solution. Stories. Today we think of stories as entertainment, something to watch before bed. But ancient stories may have been life-saving technology. Imagine sitting around a campfire. An elder tells a story about a hunter who ignored warning signs near a river. The hunter never returned. Everyone listening learns the lesson, without taking the risk themselves. That's powerful, because experience is expensive. Mistakes can kill you. Stories allowed ancient humans to borrow experience from others, and that may have been one of the smartest survival hacks ever invented. But stories weren't the only thing being shared. Knowledge was everywhere. Which plants could heal wounds? Which berries were safe? Where did animals gather during dry seasons? Where could water be found? Ancient humans carried enormous amounts of information inside their heads. And unlike today, there was no internet to look things up. You either knew the answer, or you didn't. And sometimes the difference determined whether you lived or died. But knowledge alone couldn't solve one of nature's biggest problems: darkness. Imagine life before electricity. The sun disappears, the temperature drops, strange sounds come from the darkness, predators begin to move. For most animals, night is dangerous. For ancient humans, night became an opportunity, because they had discovered something extraordinary: fire. Most people think fire was important because it provided warmth, and that's true, but the strange part is everything else it did. Fire scared predators away, it allowed people to cook food, it provided light, and most importantly, it brought people together. Around a campfire, humans could plan, teach, laugh, tell stories, share information. A few burning sticks transformed human life. In many ways, civilization may have started around a fire, but ancient humans had another survival skill that sounds almost supernatural today. They could read nature. Imagine looking at the ground and seeing a footprint. Most of us would ignore it. Ancient humans saw a story. What animal made it? How long ago? Which direction was it moving? Was it injured? Was it dangerous? Nature was constantly leaving clues, and ancient humans became experts at finding them. The forest wasn't silent, the landscape wasn't random. Everything contained information: a broken branch, a disturbed patch of dirt, the sudden silence of birds. Each clue could mean something important, and people who understood those clues gained a massive advantage. But here's the strange thing: many of the most successful survival tricks weren't about hunting, they were about avoiding danger altogether. Think about it. The safest fight is the one you never have. The safest predator is the one you notice before it notices you. The safest mistake is the one someone warned you about. Ancient humans often survived not because they were fearless, but because they were careful, observant, patient, and patience may have been one of their greatest weapons. Movies show dramatic hunts and constant action. Reality was often slower. Imagine tracking an animal for hours, watching, waiting, following signs. One wrong decision could waste an entire day. Ancient humans learned that rushing often creates problems. Patience created opportunities. And then there was another survival trick, one we rarely think about today: teaching. Imagine if every generation had to rediscover fire. rediscover tools, rediscover hunting, humanity would never get very far. Instead, knowledge accumulated, parents taught children, elders taught the young. One discovery became thousands of discoveries. Every generation started where the previous generation left off. And that changed everything, because humans didn't just evolve through biology, they evolved through information. The more knowledge a group possessed, the better its chances of survival. And eventually, something remarkable happened. Humans became adaptable enough to survive almost anywhere. Frozen landscapes, hot deserts, dense forests, open grasslands, places where many animals struggled. Humans found a way, not because they had the strongest bodies, not because they had the sharpest teeth, but because they could learn, share, cooperate, and adapt faster than almost anything else. And when you step back and look at all these survival hacks together, a surprising pattern appears. None of them are really about strength. The strongest animals aren't human, the fastest animals aren't human, the deadliest animals aren't human, yet humans changed the world. Why? Because ancient humans discovered something more powerful than muscles: collective intelligence. A group of humans sharing knowledge can accomplish things no individual ever could. And here's the craziest part: you're still using those same survival hacks today. You rely on knowledge discovered by strangers. You trust information passed down through generations. You depend on cooperation every single day. Modern life may look different, but the survival system underneath it is ancient. It was built long before cities, long before roads, long before civilization itself. So the next time you learn something new, ask someone for help, or share knowledge with another person. Remember this: you're using survival tricks that helped humanity survive for hundreds of thousands of years. Not because our ancestors were superhuman, but because they learned one of the most important lessons in history. The smartest humans didn't survive alone, they survived together. And that may be the greatest survival secret humanity ever discovered. If you enjoyed this journey into humanity's forgotten past, subscribe.